What's up, everybody? Mark with Coffee&Toys here, bringing you another top 10 list. That's right, you guys have been requesting another top 10 list, so here it is. Today's top 10 list is going to be the top 10 types of action figure collectors. This is going to be a fun one, folks, so make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on this video, and let me know which one of these top 10 collectors of action figures you are, or are you more than one like I am? So let's just jump right into it. Okay, so this is going to be a fun list today, and we're going to start off with the number 10 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors. And number 10, we're going to start off easy. Number 10 is your average collector. And what do I mean by that? Just your average Joe, average Jane, goes into the toy aisle, sees an action figure they like. Hey, maybe it rubs that nostalgia itch, scratches that itch rather, and they pick it up. That can be, if you like Spider-Man, you see a Spider-Man figure from Hasbro, you pick it up. You see a Super 7 Spider-Man figure. Do they make Spider-Man figures? Probably not, but you get the idea. Just your average collector, they buy a figure, they take it home, they open it up, they display it, they put it on their work desk, they put it on their home office desk. Just something that they pick up. They're not invested necessarily in the line. They pick it up because they like it. And yeah, that is probably a lot of the adult collector community. That is probably what they are. They pick something up because they like it, because it does it for them. That's what they want. They're not interested in finishing an entire run of figures or having a run of figures or having an entire line of figures. They just want that particular action figure because it reminds them something from their childhood. That's what a lot of us, that nostalgia, it's a real thing. But number 10 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors, number 10 is the average collector. All right, we are moving on to the number 9 spot of my top 10 types of action figure collectors. And so obviously you have, like I mentioned, the average collector that just picks up a figure here or there because they like it, something to have. Now we're going to start getting a little more specific. Number 9 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors is the mint on card, mint in package, mint in box, call it what you will, collector. Now we all know collectors like this, and maybe you're one as well. Drop me a comment and let me know. Are you a mint on card, mint in box type of collector? This is the collector that doesn't open their figures, and to me personally that's blasphemy. I don't know how anyone can just collect figures without opening them, but there's a lot of people that do it. They like the presentation of the box. They like how the artwork looks. They don't want to damage what that figure looks like in that packaging, so they just buy the figures. They display them proudly. Up here I've got some stuff that's mint in box, Masters of the Universe. It looks fantastic and I want to display them that way. But the mint on card, mint in-box type of collector will never open their figures. They are going to leave them in the package to be proudly displayed, and will never know what that plastic goodness is inside the packaging. So, number 9 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors belongs to the mint on card, mint in-box toy collector. All right, we are up to the number 8 spot, so I'm going to take a drink of coffee real quick. And yeah, the number 8 spot on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors is the Completest. Yes, the Completest. Also known as the FOMO collector. They've got to have every single figure in a wave, in a lineup. Call it what you will. I'm a completist when it comes to Masters of the Universe Origins. And like I said, you can fall in more than one of these 10 categories very easily. I know I do. When it comes to Masters of the Universe Origins figures, for example, I am a completist. I want the entire run of every figure that Mattel is going to give me when it comes to Masters of the Universe Origins. I loved Masters of the Universe as a kid, and as a kid, I pretty much was a completist whenever it was out. I had every figure except the only figure I never had that I can remember not having was Ram Man. So, fun little fact there. But yeah, and I say that the Completest is also FOMO, fear of missing out. They don't want to miss a single figure in an entire lineup, so they've got to get it. And again, the Completest can be not just to a particular, run of figures like I used with the Origins example. It can be, I'm going to have every Spider-Man character that comes out. And wow, that would be quite a completest line to complete if you had to get every single Spider-Man figure that's ever been made. But yes, number 8 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors is the Completest. All right, we are up to number 7 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors. But before we move on, please drop me a comment below and like this video. Let me know what type of collector you are. And don't be embarrassed. Say it loud, say it proud. If you're a completist, tell me you're a completist and what line you have to have everything of, if it's that way. If you're just the average Joe or Jane, let me know as well, because again, you can fall into a lot of these different categories, and we got a lot more to cover. But number 7 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors is the Hoarder. Yes, there are people like that. Maybe you know someone like that. They will buy as much as they can with really no rhyme or reason other than just to purchase it. Now, it could be related to number 8 with FOMO, fear of missing out, but the Hoarder is someone who just buys a lot of toys and then just has them in boxes, essentially. And they just sit there and they're not really sure what to do with it. They just knew they saw it, they wanted it, they bought it, and nothing ever became of it. So, number 7 belongs to the Hoarder on my top 10 types of action figure collectors. But we got a lot more in this list to cover, so let's just move on to number 6. So what do you think of the list so far? Drop me a comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, set to all notifications, because I produce top 10 lists, and I like to review toys, and I like to review comics. And again, I'm Mark with Coffee&Toys. If it's your first time to the channel, welcome. If you're coming back for another video, welcome back. But yes, top 10 types of action figure collectors. Let's not get sidetracked. Number 6, I have to look at my list. Number 6 is a special one. I like this one. Number 6 is the customizer. Yes, that's right. The customizer, the type of person that says, I can make a toy better than Hasbro or Mattel or pick your company. And I've been there as well. I have made my own toys by, picking up toys off of eBay that are broken and busted, painting them up, and making the toy I like. The customizer does not care what is being produced. They feel like they can make it better, or they can make something that hasn't even been created yet. And sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you can kit bash a figure together to make the one you want. My best friend, he kit bashes figures all the time because he's like, I need to get the figure I want, and I don't know when Hasbro, Mattel, Super 7, pick your company, is going to make it. So I will make my own. And that is a fantastic thing. That is a good way to turn a hobby into something a little bit more. You don't have to wait for the company to make what you're looking for. And ultimately, you've got a one-of-a-kind figure, essentially. So, number 6 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors, that spot is held to the customizer. All right, we are at the halfway point of the top 10 list of types of action figure collectors, and make sure you comment and tell me when you hear this list which one you are, or if you're more than one, I would love to hear. But I'm going to take another drink of coffee real quick, and I'm going to set it down because this coffee cup's getting heavy. I know, it's a coffee cup and it's heavy, right? That's weird. Not drinking the coffee fast enough. So number 5, we are at the midway point of this top 10 list. Number 5 is the 2 of each collector. Now, what do I mean by that? Of course, I mean, we've got the type of collector that says I'm going to have one to open and I'm going to have one to leave in the package. And I am guilty of this to a fault. I will buy multiples of figures, and like I said before in a lot of my videos, I'm primarily an opener. But I do occasionally, not so much now, but I will buy more than one of a character because I'll be like, I want to keep one in the package because it looks really cool. It is really cool. I might not, something could happen. And, I've got Castle Grayskull back there. I've got Snake Mountain back there. And there's just some things, especially play sets, I like to have one to keep in the package because, like I mentioned in the number 9 video, the Mint on Card Mint and Box Collector, sometimes that artwork's really pretty and I want to keep it in pristine condition, but I also want to open it. So I have to get one of each. One to keep in box, one to open up. So number 5 on the top 10 types of action figure collectors is the one of each type of collector. Mint on card and loose to display. Okay, this list is going to start heating up real quick because this is where the type of video that, as I go on through these things, it might ruffle some people's feathers the wrong way. But number 4 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors is the embarrassed collector. That's right. They're a 40-something-year-old guy that doesn't want anybody to know, or girl, that doesn't want anybody to know that they collect action figures. So, of course, this can be someone that says, oh, I'm buying it for my son or daughter. But in reality, they're just buying it for themselves. They are embarrassed for whatever reason. They don't want people to know that this adult plays with toys. And fun story I'll share for myself. I have not ever been embarrassed of collecting action figures. And I actually met a collector a long time ago at a convention, and he told me the story about how he, when he was dating what would become his wife, the first thing he told her on their first date was, I collect action figures. So if you ever come over to my place, if this relationship goes on for long enough, I've got toys, and that's just part of the package, what you get if you're dating me. And that story will always stay with me because I said, you know what, that's the way to do it. Don't be embarrassed of what you love. You can love certain types of music. You can love certain sitcoms. You can love certain types of hobbies that include toy collecting. And a lot of us from the 70s and 80s and 90s, that was a great time to have toys. There was all sorts of craziness out, and as we're getting older, you shouldn't be embarrassed of it. It was part of your childhood. And hey, you're only, you're only as old as you feel. And whenever I collect action figures, when I buy a new action figure, I feel like a kid again. And I personally see there's no reason to be embarrassed, but there are folks that are embarrassed of their collecting. So if you're one of those people and you don't feel like voicing it, don't be embarrassed of what you do. It's a fun hobby to have. So number 4 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors is the embarrassed collector. Okay, we are at the number 3 spot on the top 10 list. And now this is when I'm going to start really voicing my opinion, and you can feel free to disagree with me and drop a comment and tell me why I'm full of it. I try to respond to everybody's comments the best I can in the most appropriate manner. All I ask is, golden rule, folks. Treat others like you'd want to be treated. But that being said, number 3 on this top 10 list of types of action figure collectors is the cheap collector, also known as the wait for Ross crowd, if you're familiar with that term. So the cheap collector, this one gets to me. The cheap collector is the one that complains about all the prices of action figures and how everything's super expensive and how everything should be super cheap and how Mattel and Hasbro's of the world are just taking us to the woodshed and taking our money, and everything should be prices as how it was in 1982. The cheap collector is the one that I probably can't stand the most. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you're a cheap collector, in the way I'm describing it, I'm going to do my best to stay positive, but at the same time, a lot of people are like, it's too expensive to buy this stuff. And I agree. Prices on action figures are not cheap. My argument will always be action figure collecting is a luxury. It is not an essential. You don't need to do it. And maybe that's actually part of the reason we have the wait for Ross / cheap collector, is they are going to wait. Maybe they are more frugal than I am. And that could very well be the point. But I have a hard time with the folks that just say, I'm not going to buy it. It's too expensive. It shouldn't cost this much. And yeah, it is what it is. If you're frugal, kudos to you for being frugal. This is one I expect a lot of contention with. So if you disagree with me on this, let me know in the comments, and maybe we'll have a follow-up on it, because I very often just, the interwebs, social media, people complaining about price, how, Mattels and the Hasbros of the world are just making off like bandits, and, me, someone else can't afford their figure, so I'm not gonna buy it. I'm gonna wait for it to go on clearance. That's fine. Sometimes you can get really good deals on clearance if you just wait, if you're just patient. As they like to say, if you play the long game. So this is, like I said, this one can go either way. So you let me know in the comments below, are you a wait for Ross collector? Because I have purchased things at Ross myself. Normally I purchase things at Ross like tennis shoes and stuff like that because, I'm frugal in that way. I don't want to buy Nikes for $100. I'd rather spend like half that. So same rule applies. Maybe I'm approaching this a little too tough. But drop me a comment. Let me know what you think of the number 3 on the top 10 list of types of action figure collectors. That is the cheap collector. We have made it to the final 2. That's right. We are at the final 2 positions of the top 10 list of types of action figure collectors. And again, if you could hit that like button, it really helps out the channel. And I know you guys like these top 10, so I think that'll be a real easy thing if you could just take that millisecond, click that thumb up icon, please. But that being said, number 2 is another. I'm gonna set my coffee down. This one go either way. Number 2 is the prototype collector. That's right. Collecting action figures is not enough. They have to go and find the prototypes, the pre-productions, anything related that is associated with that particular action figure or action figure line. And I have a note on the prototype collector is that this is sometimes can be known as the elitist collector. I have this rare piece in my collection, and sometimes that does rub people the wrong way. Does it rub you the wrong way? Let me know in the comments below. But the prototype collector has to have everything associated with it, and I am also guilty of being in this particular type of collector. I used to collect, not anymore. I used to collect prototype figure, pre-production figures, and I always want to know more about it. It's a subset of the collecting community, a very niche spot that demands generally a very high price tag if you're going to get into that type of market. So again, that's why it kind of falls into that elitist category, and I'm stepping out there by even using that word because the elitist can conjure up a whole bunch of things for folks, and it is what it is. I used to collect, I'll just say it. I used to collect prototype pre-production Cobra Commander figures, and that's a difficult space to get into, especially with something like G.I. Joe. It's really hard to find those type of things, and the people who do have them don't want to let them go. So the term elitist does apply. It's very difficult to get into that niche, but they are out there, and they are collectors just like you and me. It's just a tighter, like I said, a little niche spot that people get in, and that is why they are number 2 on my top 10 list of types of action figure collectors. But stay tuned, folks. We are coming up on number 1. Do you know what number 1 is? Because I bet you do, and it is by far the most controversial. So stick with the list. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But let's move on to the number 1 spot. All right, we've made it. We are at the number 1 on the top 10 list of types of action figure collectors. And yeah, this one's the coup de grace of collectors, the bane of collecting in general, and of course I am talking about, that's right, the Scalper. We all know about them. We talk about them online, on social media. We hate them with a passion. This Scalper is the scourge of the collecting community. Doesn't care about the action figure, doesn't care about the nostalgia, just there to make a quick buck. Sometimes known as the flipper. Now, I could argue that the flipper and the scalper are actually 2 different things because, let's just get into it a little bit. Hypothetical. Is a scalper a flipper? Is a flipper a scalper? Is it both ways? It's like all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Let me use an example. I recently received my Eternia playset from Mattel Creations. I actually purchased 2 of them. So, if I purchase 2 of these Eternia playsets, cost $550 each after shipping, and I sell one of them, in my opinion, to recoup the cost of buying one for myself. So, that's what I did. Am I a flipper? Am I a scalper? Am I just a guy trying to recoup some money? That's the debate, folks. That's why this one's number 1 on the list. Because scalping can mean many different things. I have been privy might not be the right word. I have seen those Hot Wheels collectors that are just, they know enough about it. Same for G.I. Joe Classified when it first came out. I'll use that one as a better example. I don't want to knock the Hot Wheels collectors. I've met them. I'm not a Hot Wheels collector. I've met a lot of them in the toy aisles. Everyone I've met is pretty cool. No problems with them. But I have known firsthand and Target employees at the Targets around where I live that know nothing about the toys and just know they're a hot item. And you can take this back years ago. Like for me personally, I can take this back to when the Tickle Me Elmo came out. Those employees at the stores, when they were getting those in, they knew it was a hot commodity. And even now today, it's easier because you can find whatever brand you're looking at. If you're a Target employee, if you're a Walmart employee, and a certain pallet of toys comes in, you just look on your phone, and in a few short clicks, you know what's coming up and what's hot and what collectors are looking for. And, collectors calling in saying, I'm looking for this figure. Do you have it in day out? It's not hard for a scalper to be homegrown within a Target or a Walmart or another big box store and say, hey, I know when these are coming in, and they just buy them up. The specific example I'm thinking of, I was at a Target, this was early when Classified came out, G.I. Joe Classified. 7 a.m., I'm sitting there, or just before 7 a.m., just before open. I'm waiting for Target to open up, and I'm parked there. There's nobody in the parking lot, and I'm trying. This was probably around when the first Firefly was coming out, that wave of figures. Maybe, I can't remember who else was in it. Cobra, maybe the Vipers or a Bat. I don't remember. And I was waiting to go see if they had them in stock. And as I'm waiting to go in, I see a Target employee coming out, and they have a Target bag. And I see action figures in it. I see G.I. Joe figures in it. Now, I don't know which G.I. Joe figures they are. I do know that I was using a tool like BrickSeek or something to look up, and it said that these figures were in stock. Whatever I was looking for. I know they were classified. And I know I saw classified figures. Now, they might not have been the particular ones, but I know it said they were in stock. I went to the store. There was none on the shelves. And I had them do a lookup, and they're like, nope, we are completely out of that figure. We don't have any. And it's always going to be sitting in my mind. That Target employee knew what they had had already purchased them, and they had made out the front door. Now, maybe they purchased them. I don't know how it works. I don't know if the machines lock at a certain time. But the Scalper is the number one spot for that reason. The Scalper is indeed that bane on the collecting community. The one that we always talk about, the one that we hate, that buys the figures we want because we want them for our pure enjoyment, and they are just there to make the quick buck. I want to know what you think about the Scalper. Drop me a comment down below. Have you witnessed scalping firsthand? Or am I crazy? And hey, that's capitalism, Mark, at its finest, and I do agree with you on that. I will never complain other than my own selfishness of wanting a figure and it not being there. Some people make a buck that way. I realize a Target employee is only making, if you're here in the state of Colorado, you're making $17 an hour, which is mind-boggling because I'm from the Midwest originally, and $17 an hour is absolutely absurd to me to think about. But again, that, not going to get political here, but they're trying to scrape by, and if that's the way they need to scrape by is by buying these action figures and flipping them around for double the price. Some area I can't really fault them, but let me know what you think. Is a flipper and a scalper the same thing? Have you been accused of being a scalper? I've been accused of being a scalper for just saying the thing I said about buying two of each and selling one off later. Because I took it away from someone else who could have bought it. I have had that argument. But as I get older, as I get more white in the beard, it just rolls off the shoulders. But you let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the number one spot, the Scalper, who is number one on our top 10 list of types of action figure collectors. And there you have it, folks. We have made it through another top 10 list by Coffee&Toys. It's been fun. I love doing these top 10 lists. I hope you enjoy them enough that you give this video a like, share it, comment for sure. Let me know where you fall in this list. And again, I'll do a quick little recap of the top 10 types of action figure collectors. Number 10, the top 10, number 10 is the typical collector that just buys a figure they like because they want it. Number 9 is the mint on card, mint in box collector. Got to keep it in the package. It looks beautiful. Number 8 is the Completest. Got to get them all. Got to catch them all, like the old Pokemon saying. Number 7, the Hoarder, is just buying stuff because they want it right then, right now, and they don't know what they're going to do with it. Number 6 is the customizer. They can make that toy better than Hasbro or Mattel or another big company. Number 5 is the gotta have one of each, one mint on card, one to open and display. So they buy 2 of every single type of action figure that's out there. Number 4 is the embarrassed collector. I'm buying it for my kid, wink, wink. And number 3 is the cheap collector. I'm going to wait for Ross and I'll get it on the cheap because I'm a frugal individual and I'm not paying retail ever. Number 2 is the prototype collector. They are that elitist group of collectors that have that niche spot. They cannot get enough of an action figure. They've got to have every little incarnation, including what it was like leading up to the production figure. And number 1, the big baddie, the scalper, the person that is buying that toy off the shelves from you and me because they're going to turn around and make a quick buck. So let me know on this list which number you are. Are you more than one number? Are you an embarrassed collector and a 2 of each collector? Are you a typical collector, or are you a mint on card collector? Or are you an opener? Let me know in the comments below. But with that being said, thank you once again for enjoying a top 10 list with me, listening to me ramble on about toys. My name's Mark. You've been watching Coffee with Toys, and I will see you later.